Good morning to all and all. Today we are going to speak about the topic static data member, static and member function. So, static members in C++. What are the members in C++? That is, it is a member variable. So what it will be normally when we create a class, we used to declare variables in the C. That is, we used to declare the variables and we used to declare the methods also. And give method definitions after and so on. So why to use the static member in C++? What is the difference between the normal variables, normal member and the static member? Everything we are going to see in this topic. First, what is a static member? Why we are using it? That is, normally if we declare any variables, after that in class, how we will invoke, how we will access that variables and function by creating object. We used to create object by using class name. As soon as we create object, the memory space is allocated to every object. So for simple one class name we can create number of object, and to each object we can access the data member and the functions also. So how many we are going to create, that much memory space is allocated in that. This is a normal creating variables, but here in static members what we are going to do is we are going to use the common space. That way we are using the static variables and the functions. If we declare the variable as a static, we can use it in the class in everywhere. We are going to declare the static only inside the class, but even the outside the class, throughout the program. Throughout the program, we can use the static variables anywhere inside the program until the life of the program. That is, until the program ends, the static variable does not change the values. Static means it does not changes. So we can see about this topic one by one. Here is static member of a class are not associated with object of the class. Normal variables only we are going to create object, but here static member it is not exist with the object. Just like the static variables, once declared and allocated with memory, that can't change every object points to the same memory. So once we are going to be declare the variable as a static, it will allocate a common space in the memory and the value does not change even the full throughout. The static keyword is used with the variable to make the memory of variable static. Once static variable is declared, its memory can't be changed. So how we are going to declare the variable? Just we are going to use the keyword static. That's all. What are variables? For example, integer a, integer b, float a, comma b. If we are using means, before that variable we are going to place the static keyword. That's all. So as soon as we put the keyword in front of the variable, the memory is allocated, and what we are declaring to the variable, that variable it does not changes throughout the program. The reason we need static. Why we need the static member? Static members are frequently used to store information that is shared by all objects in class. That is, we need not to create several objects. Same class, many objects need not be created. So, once we declare a static memory, it can be frequently used for many functions. For instance, you may keep track of the quantity of newly generated object of specific class type using static data member as countdown. So this static data member can be increased each time an object is generated to keep track overall number of objects. So many this in static variables are used mainly in the banking system. That is, whatever account is credited or debited, we received the message in our mobile phone. So these variables, these are used only for static variables like this program. So this gives always standard count. Next is static member function. Again, static member function is independent of any object of the class. So whatever may be at the object of the class, it is free to use this function. Then a static member function can be called even if no object of the class exists. So we need not to create a single object, but we can call the static member functions without creating the object inside the classes. A static member function can also be accessed using class name through scope of relationship. That is, different static member can be used. We need not to use object to create object to call the member functions. For a different class name can be used. Using scope resolution operator, we can access the static member function. Then static member function can access static data members and static member function inside or outside the class. So this member functions can be created whether inside the class or outside the class. Inside the class means automatically those functions are get accessed or executed. Outside the class means we can use scope resolution operator to access those member function. So static member function can be used inside or outside the class. To access these functions, there is a no problem. Static member function have scope inside the class and cannot access the current object member. It has a scope to inside the class and cannot the correct object pointer can be done. You can also use a static member function to determine how many objects of a class has been created. So for the class, many objects can be created and we can access by the static member function. Okay, so what we are going to do, function is made static by using as usual whatever for member variable we are using, same thing for function you are going to give. So a function is made static by using the static keyword in front of the function name. Then suppose in outside how we are going to access, it can be called using the object. As usual we can call functions can be called by using object or directly by and dot operator, but it's more difficult to call a static member function by itself using the class name scope resolution operator. Next static keyword we are using, for example class x public static void f. So here function name is f, we are declaring as a static. How we are going to call in the main function, we are calling by the scope resolution operator. So this is the difference between the non-static members and static member. So non-static member data members are normally, it is a normal variable integer income, but once we are going to use static, it is static integer counter. So now inside the class by using the static members, we can increment the static members count plus plus. Then this is also accessing static data members characteristics. It is initialized to 0 when the first object of its class is created. That is, we need not to assign it automatically get assigned to the first object to the 0. Only one copy of that member is created for the entire class and shared by all the object of class no matter how many objects. Whatever object you can create in this example, object 1, object 2, object 3, and n number of object can be created. So n, the value is going to be 10, 20 and 30, but commonly it is an one copy that is member making is count how many objects can be created. It is a no problem, but only one copy of that member is created for that entire class. It is visible within the class, but the lifetime is the entire program. So for the entire program, this will be the values, it does not changes. So for the syntax will be data type, class name, whatever data type we are using, data type, class name, and the scope resolution operator, static member. So what will be the properties? The static member function can access to only static members declared in the same function. So this member functions can do only for the static members and not for the other functions and variables. Static functions are used only for the static variables. Member function can be called using the class name. Object use பண்ணி call பண்ணுறது கிடையாது. We can use created by class name by scope resolution operator. Syntax is their class name, scope resolution operator and function name. Next, this is also another example. Here we are going to create three objects three objects are there, and for three object values is assigned side 5. Three object of Q class with the individual private data member side equal to 5, side equal to 8, side is equal to 10, but we are going to create only one common space as the static member, so that common places object count equal to 3. So static data member object count of class Q common to all the three object. Here it is another example. We are using class test integer code, that is a normal variable, and static integer code. Count, this is a static variable. In public we are going to use two functions. One function is set code and another is show code. In set code we are going to increment the count value. In show code object number we are going to display the code. Then another function as the static function, static void show count. As a member function, here we are going to print the count. So how we are going to be call this integer test scope resolution operator count. This is the to call the static member function. Another example, here what we are doing, static integer I, static function we are using, and in public static void integer of x, I is equal to x, void show another function. So how we are going to call the member function by scope resolution operator. This is the syntax, that is data type, function name, scope resolution operator, and variable. So here also how we are going and initializing the variable, static function, scope resolution operator, in it 10 values given as 10, and the static function object is created. This is for the normal variable. So normal variable, and the show method is called by using the object.